Algae is the number one reason why people quit this hobby. And most of the time, we're taught to fight it instead of understanding it. Different algae types show up for different reasons, and each one is reacting to a very specific imbalance. In this video, I'm going to break down what those algae types are actually telling you, why they appear in the first place, and how to fix the root cause without constantly changing lights or chasing numbers. Algae appears when more light or more nutrients are available than what your plants can actually use. Your tank is constantly producing nutrients. Fish waste, uneaten food, and decaying plant matter all break down into nutrients. At the same time, your light is constantly providing energy. The amount of light your plants receives determines how fast they try to grow. Think of light as energy and nutrients as building materials. It doesn't matter what you're building. You need energy to do the work, and you need materials to build with. If one is missing, the project falls apart. When light and nutrients are balanced, plants grow healthy and stable. When they are not balanced, algae takes advantage. If you have strong lighting but poor nutrition, your plants receive the energy to grow fast, but they don't have the materials they need to support that growth. They weaken, grow unhealthy, and start to decay. That decaying plant matter releases even more nutrients, and those nutrients become fuel for algae. The opposite is also true. If you have weak lighting but lots of nutrients, the materials are there, but your plants don't have the energy to absorb them. Algae does. That's why you can run very strong lighting and still have an algae-free aquarium as long as your nutrition matches that light. By now, you might have noticed something important. Both of these factors are controllable. You can adjust light intensity if your light allows it, or you can adjust nutrition. And in most cases, adjusting nutrition is the most practical solution. So next, we'll go over common algae types, what kind of nutrition imbalance they usually point to, and then I'll show you a few simple ways to keep your nutrients where they need to be. Blackbeard algae, or BBA, is one of the most frustrating algae types to deal with. And that's because it usually doesn't mean you have too many nutrients. In simple terms, BBA shows up when nutrients are present, but plants can't use them properly. Plants need carbon, mainly CO2, to process nutrients. If CO2 is stable and reaches the plants, nutrient uptake happens naturally. When CO2 becomes unstable, that process breaks. This can be caused by inconsistent injection, poor circulation, or dead zones where CO2 doesn't reach. When that happens, plant growth slows or pauses. Those unused nutrients stay dissolved in the water, and BBA takes advantage of that window. It's important to know that CO2 does not need to be high. It needs to be consistent. That's why low-tech tanks without injected CO2 can still run clean without any BBA. Once CO2 stability improves, plants resume growth, nutrients get used, and BBA loses its advantage. If you guys enjoy my videos but are not subscribed to the channel, remember to do so. It helps the channel grow and get to more people. Green hair algae is a very problematic algae to deal with. With this kind of algae, there's usually one nutrient that plays a bigger role than the rest, and that nutrient is nitrogen, specifically nitrate. Green hair algae is extremely efficient at using nitrate, more efficient than most aquarium plants. Aquarium plants are complex organisms. They build roots, stems, and leaves. They transport nutrients internally, and they spend energy just maintaining their structure. Because of that, plants don't react to nutrients instantly. They need time to activate growth. They rely on stable CO2 and stable conditions. Green hair algae works very differently. It has no roots, no transport system, no internal structure to maintain. Instead, it absorbs nutrients directly across its entire surface, especially nitrate. So when nitrate rises, even briefly, algae grabs it first, long before plants have time to react. This doesn't mean this algae is stronger long-term. Healthy plants always win in a stable system. Given stable CO2, enough plant mass, and consistent nutrient levels, plants outcompete this algae every time. Green hair algae only wins during moments of weakness, plant slowdowns, new tank setups, heavy trimming, or instability. Control those moments, and green hair algae loses its advantage. Green spot algae is one of the few algae types that is most often linked to a phosphate limitation. And that's important because it's not caused by high nutrients, it is caused by a lack of nutrients. It usually appears when plants are growing, but phosphate cannot keep up with the demand. Phosphate plays a key role in energy transfer inside plants. When phosphate runs low, plants don't melt or crash, they simply slow down. Leaves become static, growth pauses. That pause is where green spot algae takes advantage. This is why it commonly shows up on slow-growing plants, like anubias, bucephalandras, and especially hard surfaces. On glass, green spot algae is usually more of an annoyance than a real problem. On hardscape though, it's a completely different situation. Green spot algae bonds extremely hard to rock and stone. Most algae eaters won't touch it, so if you're dealing with it, you might end up having to scrape it off, often using metal brushes or very hard tools. And that's where a second problem begins. Many aquarium rocks contain minerals locked inside their surface. When you aggressively scrape them, you expose fresh mineral layers. Those minerals can start leaching into the water. This can significantly raise GH and KH. A simple algae issue that could have been easily dealt with can quickly turn into a parameter problem. Green spot algae is often telling you phosphate is too low. When phosphate is brought back into balance, plants start growing healthy again, and green spot algae slowly loses its grip. Now, don't go anywhere, because next I'll share a few simple ways to keep nutrition stable over time so these imbalances don't keep coming back. Most algae problems don't come from one single mistake. They come from instability. So the real goal is keeping nutrients steady over time. Water changes are one of the easiest tools for that. A water change doesn't just remove waste, it resets nutrient levels back to a known baseline. It gives your plants a fresh, predictable starting point. A consistent fertilization routine matters just as much. Dosing the same amounts on the same days creates a rhythm your plants can adapt to. Random dosing leads to spikes and gaps, and algae takes advantage of both. Feeding plays a bigger role than most people realize. Overfeeding constantly pushes extra nitrogen into the system. Feed enough for your fish to stay healthy, but not so much that food and waste pile up. Hardscape placement also affects nutrient stability. Tight rock piles and blocked areas can create stagnant zones. Nutrients and CO2 don't circulate evenly there. Those pockets become algae hotspots over time. Maintenance timing matters too. Cutting your entire plant mass at once creates a sudden nutrient imbalance. Plants stop consuming, nutrients spike, algae reacts. Trimming in sections keeps uptake steady. None of these things are complicated on their own, but together they create consistency. And consistency is what keeps nutrients working for plants instead of feeding algae. Algae isn't random, and it's not something you fix with one quick solution. It's your aquarium reacting to imbalance. Once you understand what it's reacting to, fixing it becomes simple and predictable. Control the energy, control the building blocks, and the plants do the rest.